Last week of April 2023 with the Lovelocks of Sunninghill. Rough cut photo trail and perhaps a video clip or two. Right, 22 Armitage Court in Sunninghill. Warning signs about the cats, armed mice. Testing trackers. Got to take a couple of those with us on our trip soon. And there'll be lots of tracker stuff for lots of reasons. This is where GPS was tested, so-called Robin's Corner, from the late 1980s, on this spot here. And that's the lovely bit of garden sculpture that June gave Robin for his birthday present last year. Yes, this is a standard intro for people who haven't had the misfortune to see any of my videos. Right, come down. There's my car, changed recently for another old car, and yes, mentions the website. Snoopy's robot boat at the back, not the one that goes to the Atlantic, that was from yesterday's trip. Another one of these new trackers being checked out. Trackers everywhere, and I've got to remember to take these with us on our trip later. One of the garden projects. Yes, that's warning signs about cats. Our cat Tody likes to use that one, and we're hoping Bentley from opposite will be using that. Some of these things have been seen before, but this particular video has got a lot of nitty-gritty of interest to a few people about work started on Snoopy's robot boat. And I've just been gathering together bits, old bits like batteries, because we've got to change all the electronics here, even if the design will be the same. And the important thing that was done this morning was the rudder. That was what we lost, and that has been replaced, and the photo trail includes that. But other things as well, not just the nitty-gritty of jobs like that. Yes, better point that out. Our camper that was used for the trip to the coast to take Snoopy for his last attempt last year. Battle damage, June said Robin did it, Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. Warning signs, I always point these out. Yes, lots of cameras everywhere, not particularly well hidden. That's information about the robot boat for those interested. And yes, there's another camera. And I always point out the warning sign about the water squirters, and you have to read the small print. Now, I might be able to get in now. Yes, the door hasn't closed on me. So, right now, June is doing a bit of work in the... I'll go through the games room to it. Yes, all this stuff is going to be tidied up. Background activity for, quite a few months now has been getting space in the garden. Other photographs show that. And yes, June's out here working. I tend to delegate work wherever I can. One of the activities reflected in the photo trail is activity on the pond, trying to locate a leak. And here we go. Hello, June. So we were trying to, in a video chat last night, we were trying to work out when we got the greenhouse. We can't remember, can we?
No.
20 or 30 years ago maybe that I put shelves up, and it was only yesterday that June and I, between us, did a bit of repair to this. Was all falling apart, and haven't added very much to it, but it's ready for her to start putting things back in it. And we're trying to work out when we put the greenhouse here, because I'm getting tangled up with bits of wire running through. Anyhow, now most people won't be interested in any of this, but it's an aid to my memory, these photo trails and videos, and it's made all the more powerful by the fact that it's shared with a few other people around the world. And some of them are great experts on all sorts of subjects. Now, obviously, Since it's near the end of April, it is at the end of April, everything is springing up, and where we're about to go off to is a garden open for the National Garden Scheme charity. So I'll go back in, if I can get in. Yes, I've been starting to do a bit of, not tidying up, we've still got to put stuff away, but some people would call it engineering work. There are mirrors around here. That was all done in the last few days, and some of that probably photo trail. There's lots of work related to the pond, but not ripping the whole lot out would be absolutely a nightmare, apart from the time and materials. Nearly fell over there. There we go, good old thermometer. It says the temperature's coming up to about 15 degrees centigrade, whatever that is in Fahrenheit. You saw a reflection there. I can't get in that door. So let's see if I can get in this door. Yeah, it's quite a long intro, but it's got quite a few odds and ends on it, even if you hardly get a chance to see it. One thing I'll point out, I've been plagued by problems with this camera, and I like it. It's a little pocket camera I've used, and the trouble is they're difficult to buy now, because at a sensible price, because everybody's either using a smartphone, and yes, I've got smartphones, or big serious chunky cameras. Yes, that's the closed circuit TV, just there. Now, what I was going to point out is, if I flick to another page, right, the front page of my website, gpss.co.uk, and the YouTube channel, or one of the YouTube channels, is headlined, and if that presents lots of videos with the most recent first in the list, and there are many of them, but at least you get them presented clearly with, and there are lots and lots of them, rather than searching for it and being told what you want to look at. Now, what I have here on another tab is where we're planning to go in the next hour, which is down to the garden that's open for the National Garden Scheme charity down near Liphook, and it's about an hour's run or less from where we are in Sunninghill. Right, this is going on a bit, sorry about that, but you can always use the YouTube time bar to skip through things. So I'm going to use this because I've been gathering together these bits in the last few days, but the very important thing is, the reason Snoopy's boat failed is that stupid Robin hadn't filed a flat to take the grub screw on the shaft, the steel shaft that comes up. And yesterday I completed the rudder. There's more paint going to be needed on it, and I only put it in today. So there we are, that's the rudder moving, and all these bits slowly will be replaced by bits that aren't broken due to seawater getting in. And that's why I've been gathering together stuff. That's materials that we use for the rudder. Yeah, servos, reliable servos that have lasted for typically 3 months or so, continuous use. So that old one in there, everything got at by seawater. Now, I'm putting a lot of emphasis on this simply that it's stuff that is of interest for a handful of guys around the world, and some of those guys give me valuable feedback or advice. Right, I think that's about it. Don't know, well, see if the cats are in or about it, since they star in most of the photo trails. I thought they would be sunbathing. They're hidden around somewhere. Ah, there. Oh yes, which one's this? Oh, this is our cat Tody. That's it, you've had a hard day and night, haven't you? Yes, that's it, take it easy. So, let's now go into that long photo trail for the last 8 days, from last Sunday through till this. This voice commentary is unrehearsed and unscripted. There was only one photo on the first day, the Sunday, but Monday the 24th of April 2023 starts with the cats on our front drive, and of course those pictures appeal to a few friends and family, but not many. I'll say now that most of this relates to tracking, and the new tracker is being checked out, the GoTop tracker, and most of what we're doing is checking, popped into for more bits, and yes, that's the GoTop tracker that we've been checking out, which is new, and it might get used on the robot boats. It's a low cost package which includes everything, including the solar panel, and it gives a detailed track. So we've been checking it out, and this is just early on, and most days, even doing other things on that day, yes, more bits and pieces. Yes, more handiwork in the garden for accommodation for the two pussycats if they choose to use it, and Tody certainly does at the moment. The so-called cat forts. That looks like a dialogue with Alan of GoTop, and checking it out at the Robin's Corner and in the car. So that one is bolted in the car. Yes, trapped in for batteries and things. So that particular GoTop, we call GoTop number 1, is now bolted into my car, and there's a typical track from it, including visiting shops like Wix and Homebase. A lot of this stuff is getting material for garden jobs like cement and things like that, but of course in the process we check, that looks like, yeah, another trip for hardware, and work on the pond and the cat forts with the light to detect that Tody's inside, which is very useful. Yes, the pond work. There's some video at the start that you would have seen by now, which probably makes it a little clearer. But of course these photo trails are much an aid to my memory, and one can go through them quickly with the YouTube time bar. Yeah, so that's the cats, including Bentley from opposite, and Tody, checking out the cat forts. Then Wednesday the 26th of April 2023. Yeah, similar material, quite a lot of overlap, and looks like I've popped the tracker down. Going to try in various places around the garden and check that it does actually show sensible positions. So then moved it to the shed, then in the other corner, down on the left hand side, far corner. Check the positions. Yes, they seem to make sense. Then putting it somewhere else, looks like it's in the front garden on corner. There's the cat forts, yes, Tody asleep. And the positions seem to make sense. that was go top number 2, the one that's not bolted in the car. It might find its way. Ah yes, dialogue on other things with various people, and work in the garden, collecting components from places like Mantua Models for the robot boat, and putting some information about it up on the new blog 10. So quite a few jobs all going on in parallel. So Thursday the 27th of April. Now that rings a bell. I think it's pub grub day, but we'll take the tracker with us, and we went to the Beefeater, the cricketers at Bagshot, with my wise grumpy old friends, and checked out Go Top 2 with us. And there Stuart managed to actually get it a position on his smartphone. So then we leave that and we go back for coffee. Oh, that's something being delivered. Yeah, dialogue with various people on different topics, and looking at the air trip down with the Go Top to the Beefeater, and some of that information is going up on a blog. And there's the spot trace tracker to replace the one that failed due to water coming into the boat on Snoopy's last robot attempt. It looks like we're checking out various other trackers here. My car, that was the result of a trip for getting more materials for the garden. Yes, Tody hanging out in the cat fort with armed mice. Various tools where they can be found. Materials for repairs on the robot boat, and the most important thing was the rudder, which went missing. As I say, several jobs in parallel. There we are, there's myself on the closed circuit TV doing gardening, putting the peanuts out in the evening for the wildlife. Then while June watches things like tennis, I look at the wildlife. And there you go, fox coming for peanuts, a hedgehog coming for the peanuts. Looks like the news, and Tody joining me for a while, and there's a fox arrived. Tody making a nuisance of himself. Sometimes watches the Cloaker TV. Friday the 28th. That was again use of June's oven to do a bit of soldering related to construction of the rudder. So that's the process of making that, and of course they're often interrupted by important phone calls. Yes, that was in shot, reminders of the holiday in Sardinia. And the 2-part paint, making a bit of a mess. I've got to buy a new lot of that. And bluebell wood, the NGS garden we went to, that was down south of Odium, and that was a lovely trip, both to the garden, enjoying their time looking at the place, chatting to the people there, very interesting people, and then going on to Shaldon Village, which we hadn't visited before, I don't think, checking out the church and things. But this is still the garden and the bluebell wood, that's the name of the place. There's Shaldon Village Church. Then we visit our friends near Odium, and yeah, Steve has been on the telly before. And then make our way home, and of course all the time we're tracking. Looks like we dropped into Wicks, get some more quick setting cement, check the trackers. Yes, it seemed to show the track of where we visited in detail. And of course we've got more than one type of track of the SATCOMs, and there's also the GoTop, which is simply just using the mobile phone network, but it does some things better, like the history of the track, and of course it's very much cheaper, incredibly cheaper. And there we are popping into, well, I went to Wicks and June went into Dunelm. Putting information onto the blog 10 page so other people can see progress, those who are interested, and there's just a few who are, in the robot boat work. Checking out the personal tracker. Again, that technology, low cost, could be applied to all sorts of things, not just pensioners or pets. Can be used for robot boats as well. Yeah, nice slogan, tracking is caring. Ah, bright idea from Terry. Finding out where the leak is by popping in a drop of oil. I use rapeseed oil, and seeing whether you can see that actually going towards a leak. But despite all that, but it's quite harmless stuff to pop in the pond, it didn't find any information, so we still don't know. Yes, the women watching tennis. I take my food through to the naughty corner in the lounge, where I can watch the closed circuit TV. And there's Tody, some pictures. Ah yes, that's the interactive track. You'll see the videos of some of those. I say interactive, it's the GPS track. That one is their journey ending in Odium. And getting late in the evening there. I'm looking at the closed circuit TV, live probably. Yes, there we've got the fox and the hedgehog sharing the peanuts at the same time. There's Tody. Saturday the 29th of April. And serious work on the rudder and the important flat, and also some serious work on the greenhouse, which I think I last did work on might have been 20 or 30 years ago. We're still not sure when I put those shelves up, but one had collapsed, so June and I worked together and did a bit of hard work there in the garden. Right, it looks like I had an important chat with somebody. Ah yes, a place that we thought, yeah, take the robot boat along as a conversation piece. Perhaps it's a place that might even be suitable for checking the boats out on. Unfortunately, it was closed, but it was still an interesting trip. We checked things and it looks like a place that would be interesting to visit. And then we went to Bray Lake's water sport and had a look round there. And yeah, we can go there. And across the lake on the south side is the Thames Hospice. Lovely place. Obviously, it's a charity, Thames Hospice. So we went and had a snack there, coffee, looked across the lake. Lovely place. And June recorded a GPS track of her walk around the garden. So there's the pictures, there's the track on the map. You can see the hospice there on the south side of the lake, and the actual track, there's the position, and a little walk around the garden, just hardly any distance, but it's in 3D and you see everything around. Then back home through the village of Sunninghill, a few landmarks, and our friends the Banstills back home with pussycats around, I expect. Yes, take the usual view you get, and that's the spot tracker to replace the one that's failed in the boat from its last attempt. Checking that, checking the voltage from it, and even though it gave a warning, it still seems to be okay. And that was the journey recorded on Spot T. So that's the tracker that anybody can see if they want to see the robot boat. But now the contractor's been moved across onto the new bit of hardware that works. Now check in my personal tracker. That seems to be as usual. And that's June, and she's down at the Bansells. Yes, tracking is caring. Tody's guarding the premises. I tease him a bit. And that again is the spot tracker, which seems to be working okay. June is still down there, and so decide to spend a little time with my favourite doggy, and then down to the Rajvuj and back up through the village, Sunninghill Wines, to get a few things, and yeah, video chat because it's a Saturday evening, video chat with family. Yeah, that was the trip on the personal trackers. Video chat going on. Then Sunday. Sunday's today. Starting with Bentley from opposite, relaxing. Tody. And Bentley again, quite a few pictures. Now what I will say is there's a lot of photographs which were taken after the bit of video I'm looking at here. Yes, that's the rudder, important stage. There's the flat filed on the rudder. Well, that was what I've neglected to do. Not on the rudder shaft, that was. And the grease of putting it up. So that bit of work was completed this morning before we took our trip. And that camera, I've been having lots of troubles with it, simply that I need to replace it, but it's very difficult to replace. Everybody gets smartphones or big clunky cameras, and I wanted a little pocket camera. Yeah, so that's the serious work on the boat, and this photo trail will continue and may not have a proper commentary. The sound commentary may not match up with the photos because of the method I'm using to look at the stream of photos, which last about 6 minutes, I think. But we start off by deciding, yes, we're going to go down to that lovely place open for the National Garden Scheme charity, the NGS charity, and we'll use the run as a means of checking out all the various trackers, some of which are being used in the robot boats and some might be in the future. So, oh yes, Robin had a banana for lunch and might have done some silly things with it. So as we were taking the trip down and June was driving, because Robin still is not allowed to drive according to the DVLA, and hopefully they'll sort out what mistakes they've made. They're well documented. But the important thing in this video is the check-in of the various trackers. And as I say, the commentary may not match up with the photos exactly. I can't see all the photos as I'm playing this. But the trackers included the Spot Satcom's tracker, trace, and there's two of those. One is the so-called spare one, and the other one linked off the contact page, and the other one is the one that we got to replace the one that was in Snoopy's robot boat. Looks as though we've arrived there, and what we particularly liked when we first arrived was seeing the donkeys. And there was lots of animals and wildlife and birds and things, but the donkeys were certainly lovely, and we certainly got members of their family that would love to have seen them. They may do on a future trip. So June's also switched on her app, which enables create a GPS track of the journey, which was not only walking around the lovely gardens, but also where we went next, which was, you could hear a steam train, and that was a lovely place. But most of this are the photographs that were around the gardens and seeing things like peacocks, and well, I'm not sure I'd recognise everything, but I think there were geese. Robert checked out the barbecue area with the lovely things. Yeah, I think those were geese. I mean, I had a lovely couple of coffees, and Robin really gorged himself on the food. And there was the steam collection that we found, and so we thought, right, we'll see if we can go there, and said bye-bye to the goats and the other wildlife, set off again, and Robin suggested, oh, we take this route that looked more direct and more interesting, and it was more interesting, but June decided, no, we won't go all the way up the road Robin was suggesting, which was a bit of a dirt track. So we went back by the more obvious route further along the road, and so these pictures will show us reaching the place, but the barriers were down because they were going to close, I think within the hour, and so they obviously didn't want more people to go in, but of course Robin was able to walk up there while June stayed back with the car, and it was an amazing place. And he's got some nice video clips at the end, including the steam train, but all sorts of things. Fun fair. So, and a lot of very interesting history that was up there. Then we made our trip back to get back home, and of course greeted by our pussycat Tody, and then of course Robin is going to check out the various GPS tracks that anybody could have seen live, but he was then looking at what was recorded by just simply going on the net and looking at the relevant pages. So one of those of course is the Spot T2 that's been linked from our contact page for years, which is the so-called spare spot trace tracker. But then we have a new one, which is the one to replace the broken one inside Snoopy's robot boat, and that's simply called Spot T, and that's linked off the Snoopy page. And then there was the GoTop trackers. There's two of those, and they provide a nice track of where you've been accurately, and of course live position updated regularly. And so those are the tracks from the places we went from the GoTop tracker. Then looks like Robin's now looking at his pendant tracker that of course shows where he is on foot. He's had those for years. So that includes the walk around the garden and the visit to the Holycombe Steam in the Country place. The 3D track recorded on Friday the 28th of April to the garden open for the National Garden Scheme charity, Bluebell Wood, and June's walk along. But let's play it back. The video is no more than about a minute. So there's June's walk, and then our drive back up to Odium to see our friends Steve and Kay. We did visit the Sheldon village and church before that. So now here we are travelling up the main road north, approaching Odium. And we may get a glimpse of the airfield on our right. Yes, there's the runways. So now we're coming down and through the middle of the town of Odium, and there we stop at our friend's place. So that was a distance of 18 kilometres and it took an hour and 22 minutes. Here is June's walk around the garden, only just a few yards at the Thames Hospice on the south side of Bray Lake. Replayed as a GPS track in 3D. You can't see much of the track because that's just a little red area in the middle, but at least you can see the surrounding area. That's looking from the south, and that's the end of it. And you'll see she didn't walk very far. 0 kilometres, 5 minutes, 1 metre change of altitude. Gone along the Hog's Back, and June's smartphone shows their progress on the A31 Farnham Road. Sorry about the interruptions. That's Tom talking. Now that's working quite well. That's the GoTop tracker. One of the many trackers. Whoops! One of the many trackers being checked out.
Towards Royal Surrey.
Oh, just going into the tunnel. And let's see if the tracking updates, because the GPS signal should be relayed down into the tunnel. Now, of course, it could be that it stops when it goes into the tunnel and restarts when it comes out. But we know with this tracker it updates on a regular basis. When I say regular, I mean within seconds rather than minutes. Light level's not too bad in here. June driving safely. And we're well into the tunnel now.
After 3/4 of a mile, keep left.
That looked like where we went into the tunnel. This is still talking, so that implies... I haven't zoomed in, let me try zooming in. Now we're getting near the exit now.
After 800 yards, keep left.
And let's see what happens. So we certainly should get a good GPS signal outside. The screen's timed out. How annoying. That's packed up.
Keep left.
The timeout on the smartphone. Not to worry. Coming into West Sussex. We've got the TomTom, but we've also got Google Maps guiding us to the destination. So they may be arguing with each other. So they're both guiding us to the same place, which is the garden open for the National Garden Scheme charity.
In 300 yards, turn right onto Linchmere Road, B2131.
That is June's smartphone speaking.
Turn right, B2131, Liphook Road.
I guess they're saying the same thing. Yes, they are. Jude driving safely.
Turn right onto Lynchmere Road,
Turn right.
B2131.
And Robin just playing with the technology. Okay, left.
In a quarter of a mile, turn left onto Hammer Hill, Lynchmere Road.
It says within 200 yards you've reached your destination. So let's just see whether that's the case.
You have reached your destination.
Oh, a lovely pond. Looking for an NGS sign. Unless
There's
that was,
animals there.
Yeah.
It's got animals. Hasn't
yeah. Oh, well, maybe that was, we just went on the postcode. Yeah, so
it? There was no NGS sign.
no, there was no NGS sign. We'll just carry on a bit further. Not to worry. We should have followed the instructions and turned right. It's just we didn't see an NGS sign, and that must have been a back route to the same place. But I recognise the shape of it there, so we're on the way to it. I can see the problem. They had the wrong location there, and it's now correct. And I saw that by the shape of the graphics on the map, and then pointed at the right place on the map. And that is now guiding us to near enough the same place. So not sure what went wrong. Could have been finger trouble.
In a quarter of a mile, turn right onto Highfield Lane.
And that should say the same.
300 yards, turn right, Highfield Lane. Then
That's it.
turn right.
That's it. So they're both saying the same thing now. Helps if you put the right information in the first place.
Take the
You just said 200 yards, your destination will be on the left. So we're just arriving. It says car park. So we got there eventually.
destination is
Pretty
on
sure
the
we've
left.
never been here before.
No, I'm sure we haven't been here before. But great. Garden open for National Garden Scheme charity, NGS. And yeah, oh, they've got little animals. Yes, look at them. Goats and donkeys. I know people that like donkeys. Right. Pretty good, eh? Yeah, apparently they close at 5, so I'll go back and join at the car. Party goes on. I warned you it would be a long, rough cut video and photo trail, but only remains to say, look after yourselves, stay safe and enjoy what days we have.